Look, do me a favor. Tonight, if it's clear where you are, go outside. Look up. Pick the brightest star you can find. Really look at it. Got it in your head? Now, here's what I want you to consider. That star might not be there anymore. I'm not being poetic. I mean it might be gone. Cold, dark, blown apart. Nothing where you're looking except empty space and a very old rumor of light. And you'd have no way of knowing. Not tonight. Maybe not for 1,000 years. Sit with that a second. Because most people, when they hear light takes time to travel, they nod and think, yeah, sure, fine, and move on. That's the boring version of this fact. Here's the version that should actually bother you. You have never in your entire life seen the universe as it is right now. Not once. Not for 1 second. It's not possible. It never has been. Let that sink in while I explain why. Okay, first let's knock out the thing your eyes are quietly lying to you about. When you look at your own hand right now, held up in front of your face, you think you're seeing it as it is, but you're not. Not exactly. Light has to leave your hand, travel to your eye, and that takes time. A tiny amount, sure, a few billionths of a second, completely unnoticeable, completely irrelevant to your life, but it's not zero. There is no such thing as seeing something instantly. Seeing is always a report from the past. It's just that for your hand, the past is so recent it might as well be now. Here's the trick, though, and this is where it gets interesting. That delay doesn't stay small. It scales with distance. And once you start talking about things that are really far away, not across a room, but across the galaxy, that unnoticeable delay stretches out into years, centuries, in some cases, thousands of years. Same rule, same physics, just a much bigger number. So let's talk about the number. Light travels at a fixed speed, you've heard this, about 300,000 kilometers every second. That's fast. That's absurdly fast. It could loop around the Earth 7 times before you finish blinking. But here's the thing people don't appreciate. Space is not just big. Space is big in a way that makes fast feel almost insulting. The nearest star to us, other than the sun, is a bit over 4 light years away. That means the light hitting your eye from that star tonight left it 4 years ago. It's been traveling this whole time, crossing a gap of true nothing, just to arrive in your retina at this exact moment. And that's the nearest one. That's the easy case. Now go further out. Some of the stars you can see with your naked eye, actually see, no telescope, are hundreds, even thousands of light years away, which means the light landing in your eye tonight left that star before your country existed, before your language existed in some cases. You are looking right now at ancient light, a photon that has been in transit longer than most human civilizations have been around, finally finishing its journey in you. I want to give you a better way to think about this, because light year sounds like a unit of distance, and technically it is, but that's not the useful way to picture it. Think of it instead as an answer to the question, how old is this image? Every star you see isn't the star. It's a letter the star sent, and you're reading old mail. Some letters were sent last year. Some were sent before the pyramids were built. They're all arriving in your eye at the same moment tonight, stacked together, and your brain just goes, ah, stars, and doesn't blink. But that's wild if you actually stop and think about it. You're not looking at a live feed of the universe. You're reading a stack of letters postmarked from wildly different centuries and calling it the sky. So, naturally, this brings us to the uncomfortable question. Which of those letters were sent by someone who isn't there to send the next one? Let's get concrete, because I don't want to leave this abstract. Take a star like Betelgeuse. You've probably heard of it. It's the reddish one in Orion, shoulder of the hunter. It's a red supergiant, which is a nice way of saying it's a star near the end of its life. Enormous, unstable, and, this is the important part, it's roughly 500 to 600 light years away, which means the light hitting your eye from Betelgeuse tonight left it 500 or 600 years ago, around the time of the Renaissance, give or take. That light has been in transit this entire time, while empires rose, while wars happened, while your great-great-great-grandparents were born and died, just quietly crossing space, headed here. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Betelgeuse is the kind of star that's expected to go supernova, explode, completely and violently die. Astronomers think it could happen any time in the next, 100,000 years, give or take, which sounds vague, but the point is, it could also have already happened. 500 years ago, 400 years ago, last Tuesday, as far as the actual star is concerned, and we would have no way, none, of knowing. Not with a bigger telescope, not with better math, not with any clever trick at all. The information simply hasn't arrived yet. It's on its way, traveling at the fastest speed anything can travel, and it's still not here. Now, I want to be really precise about what kind of not knowing this is, because there's a lazy version of this idea that turns it into spooky nonsense, and I don't want to do that. This isn't, ooh, mysterious, who can say what's really out there? This is a very specific, very well understood kind of ignorance. We know exactly why we don't know. We're not confused about the mechanism. We're just waiting on the mail. That's different from mystery. That's a deadline we haven't hit yet. But here's what makes it strange rather than just technical. The present state of that star doesn't exist for us. Not we don't know it. It doesn't exist for us as a fact we have access to in any form. Somewhere out there right now, that star is either fine or it isn't, and that fact is real and true and completely unavailable to every single person on Earth for the next several centuries minimum. We are, all of us, locked out of the present tense of half the night sky. Okay, let's widen this out because it gets even better or worse, depending on your taste for existential vertigo. Look up at the full sky again in your head. Every star you're seeing is a different distance away, which means every single one of them is a message from a different point in time. That bright one over there, 4 years old. That one, 600. That one, near the edge of visibility, could be 8,000 years old, easy. They're all arriving simultaneously in your eye tonight, but none of them are actually simultaneous with each other or with you. The sky isn't a snapshot. It's not one photograph taken at one moment. It's more like, imagine someone handed you a stack of photographs, each one taken in a wildly different year, some from last week, some from before written history, and told you to lay them all out flat and look at them at once, as if they were all taken today. That's the night sky. That's what you're doing every time you look up. You're not seeing a moment. You're seeing hundreds of different moments, glued together by coincidence, all arriving on your retina in the same half second. And nothing about that is fake, by the way. That's the part I love. This isn't an illusion or a trick or something to be suspicious of. Every one of those points of light is real, real light, real photons that genuinely left a real star and genuinely traveled all this way. It's just that all this way took different amounts of time for different stars, and your eye doesn't sort them by arrival date. It just says, light, now, here, done. So what do you do with a fact like this? I don't think the right response is, oh, that's sad, some stars are dead. I don't think that's quite it. I think the more honest response is something closer to, this is what looking at anything has always been. Because it's not just starlight. Everything you observe is a little bit late. When you look at your friend's face across the table, the light bounced off them and reached your eye a few nanoseconds ago. Old news, just very recent old news. When you hear a sound, that took time too, just slower, so the delay is more obvious. You've seen lightning before thunder, you know the gap is real. Even inside your own skull, the signal from your eye to your brain, the moment your brain finishes assembling, I am seeing this, that takes a sliver of time too. You are never fully caught up to the present. No one is. It's not possible, structurally, for any observer anywhere to be perfectly synced with now. You're always looking at a half-finished letter that's still being read. The stars just make it undeniable. With your hand, the delay is so small you can pretend it isn't there. With a star like Betelgeuse, the delay is 500 years, and pretending stops being an option. It forces the truth that was always technically there, hiding in plain sight, in everything you've ever looked at. So go back outside sometime. Look up again. And this time, don't just see a sky. See it for what it actually is. Hundreds of different envelopes, mailed from hundreds of different centuries, all arriving on the same night, in your eye, right now. Some of the senders are still out there, doing exactly what they were doing when they wrote it. And some of them, quietly, without ceremony, sometime in the intervening centuries, stopped existing. And their last letter is still on its way. Might already have landed and you don't know it. Might land in your grandchildren's lifetime instead. Either way, you're not looking at the universe. You never were. You're looking at its history, arriving late, one delayed frame at a time. And somehow, knowing that doesn't make the sky feel smaller. It makes it feel enormous.